Now the second property is completed. Setting time, we have seen initial, final, and the third setting, progressive hardening and increase in strength settings. These three settings we have seen. Now the third property which we should understand of cement is soundness. Soundness of cement. Soundness of cement is the undesirable expansion of some of the constituents of cement. Constituents of cement. You know, C3A, C3S, C2S, C4AF, these are the composition of the cement. So this composition or the contents of the cement will have expansion. So that undesirable expansion is called as soundness of cement. Okay, this undesirable expansion is due to the free lime, due to the presence of free lime and magnesia. Due to the excessive presence of these two, there will be an expansion of the constituents of the cement. So that is undesirable. Okay, when we have more expansion, then we call that cement as unsound cement. So we can reduce the cement by reducing the content of, or by limiting the content of magnesium oxide less than 0.5%. If you limit the content, then you can reduce the soundness. Then second, soundness is undesirable expansion. Second is by proper grinding. If the cement is properly grinded, it's fine, then also you can reduce the undesirable expansion of the cement. Fine grinding, you should do it. And then third is thorough mixing. So when cement is mixed, there should be a thorough mixing. So by these three processes, you can reduce the soundness of the cement. Okay. Now coming to the lab, how are you going to determine the soundness test? How are you going to perform the soundness test? Okay. So we have two methods. We have two methods to determine the soundness. The first is Le Chatelier's method. Le Chatelier's method, and another one is autoclave method. Autoclave method. Okay, I'll just give a brief description about the Le Chatelier's method. What we do is the hardened cement cube, we boil it for a fixed time. Okay, so it expands. That expansion is measured. That is the way the Le Chatelier's method procedure. In short, I have said. Okay, hardened cube is boiled. Hardened cube of cement paste is boiled for a fixed time, so that any tendency to expand is speeded up and can be detected. So that is the Le Chatelier's test. Okay, so this is not that important for us, because on the field we don't bother about this test mostly, because at the factory, at the production industry itself, those people will take care of this soundness test. Okay, so the fourth one is the most important test, that is compressive, most important property of cement, compressive strength. This is the most important property of the cement. Okay, right. It is now what is the methodology here is, what we do is we mix 1 part of cement with 3 parts of sand. Okay, cement mortar is prepared. This test is not conducted only on cement paste. It is conducted on cement plus sand mortar. This together is called as mortar, cement mortar we call it as, because we cannot perform the test only on cement paste because of its shrinkage property. Okay, so we mix this paste and we pour it in a mold of 50 square centimeter. Okay, then after 24 hours we allow it to set. After 24 hours it is removed from the mold and placed in the, and it is it is placed in the water, in a water tank for curing. So after curing, like for 3 days we cure, for 7 days we cure, and for 28 days, sometimes for 14 days also we cure. Okay, then it is tested in a compressive strength testing machine. Okay, so from that machine we get the what is the compressive strength of cement, right? So for a good concrete, for a normal concrete, the 3-day strength we find, the 7-day strength we find, and the 28-day strength we find. Okay, so For an ordinary Portland cement, the 3-day compressive strength shall be equal to 16 Newton per mm square. The compressive strength of a cement mortar, when it is tested for compression after 3 days of curing, the strength shall be 16 Newton per mm square. This is for ordinary Portland cement because this is the standard cement. Okay, then for 7 days it should be 22 Newton per mm square. 22 Newton per mm square. Then for 28 days it shall be 31 Newton per mm square. So these are the expected values when you test a cement mortar cube of 1:3 ratio. This result should come when you test it in the testing machine. So after 3 days curing, 7 days curing, 28 days curing. Okay. Now when we go to the cement purchase, we purchase the cement by designating it with a grade, that is called as cement grade. Okay, we designate it by a number that is called as grade, cement grade. Okay, this cement grade indicates its compressive strength. Like we have to go and purchase the cement, we tell them to give OPC 43 grade. Okay, we say OPC 53 grade. So what it means is, this is 43 stands its compressive strength. Okay, 53 stands its compressive strength. So when you take an OPC 43 grade cement and test it its compressive strength, then it shall come as 43 Newton per mm square at 28 days curing. Okay, if it is 53 grade cement, then you should get the 28 days strength as 53 Newton per mm square. So this is what on the back you might have seen OPC 43, OPC 53. It represents the compressive strength of the cement. Okay, this is all about the compressive strength. Okay, now the last property which I have said to discuss about cement is heat of hydration. The last property is heat of hydration. So everyone knows the last physical property which we should know about is heat of hydration. Okay, heat of hydration, when water is added to the cement, there will be some chemical reaction. Okay, that will be an exothermic reaction, right? So the whatever amount of heat is involved in this reaction, that heat is called as heat of hydration. This heat of hydration is mostly influenced by the proportion of tricalcium silicate and tricalcium aluminate, C3S and C3A. Okay. Besides this, the heat of hydration is also influenced by the water cement ratio, and also by the temperature. Right. So each of the factors, if C3S is increased, C3A is increased, heat of hydration increases. If water cement ratio is increased, heat of hydration is increased. Okay. So how we are going to determine in lab? Right, each physical property I have discussed briefly how we will be determining it in the lab. Now for this heat of hydration, what we do is we dissolve cement in an acidic mixture of nitric acid and hydrofluoric acid. So this is a mixture of acids. In this mixture, cement is dissolved, and this is being taken is done in a calorimeter. All of you know what is a calorimeter. Okay, in a calorimeter, this acid is taken, this combination of acid is taken, and cement is dissolved. Okay, so there will be an increase in the temperature. That increase in temperature, deducting the losses in the calorimeter, after deduction it, whatever amount of rise is there in the temperature, that is taken as heat of hydration. Okay, this is all about the properties of cement. Just to recall, I can tell the physical properties of cement which are important for us to understand as civil engineers. First one was sieve analysis. Okay, finding the size of the cement particle, because it directly affects the rate of gain of strength. Okay, so not more than 10% of residue on an IS 90 micron sieve is accepted. The second was setting time, initial setting time, final setting time. Both the tests are conducted in the laboratory using Vicat's apparatus. For initial setting time, we use needle, and for final setting time, we use plunger. Okay, initial setting time is 30 minutes to 60 minutes, and final setting time is anything between 5 hours to 6 hours, or sometimes 10 hours. Okay, then third was soundness of cement, undesirable expansion due to the available free lime. Okay, if you restrict the content of magnesia oxide, and if you thoroughly mix the ingredients, or if you grind the cement to the finer, then soundness can be reduced. Soundness is an undesirable property. Then fourth one what we saw is fifth one is heat of hydration. Fourth one was what was it? 3 soundness of cement, heat of hydration. Okay, then this is all the properties of cement. Okay, so this is properties of cement. So mostly this will be taken care by the manufacturing unit, industries. They will take care of the things. They will test all this test before releasing the cement to the market. Okay, now again one more important topic which we should discuss is properties of concrete. Okay, this is on site, because concrete we prepare on the site. Okay, except the ready mix concretes. Properties of concrete. So these properties of concrete we can be classified into two. The first is properties of fresh concrete. Properties of fresh concrete. And then we just classifying it. Second one is properties of hardened concrete. Separating the properties, hardened concrete. Okay, properties of fresh concrete, right? So the most important property of the fresh concrete is workability. Okay, the most important property of a fresh concrete is that concrete should be workable in its fresh state. Okay, so what is workability? This is a very, very important definition. Workability. So the name itself is suggesting whatever concrete mix you make, that should be workable. You should work with the concrete easily without any difficulty. Workability of the concrete is its ability to spread, uniformly without segregation and bleeding. Okay, so this is a fresh concrete property. When you make a concrete in its fresh stage, when you pour it on the formwork, it should spread by itself. Okay, that ability is called as fresh concrete. In that fresh concrete, there should be no segregation, there should be no bleeding. Segregation means separation of aggregates. Bleeding means excess water will drain out. Okay, so this is called workability. I repeat, it is the ability of the fresh concrete to spread uniformly without segregation and without bleeding. Okay, the greatest factor which affects the workability is water cement ratio. This is the major factor which is going to affect the workability. It is self-explanatory. If water is less, then aggregates will come out of the concrete. That is called segregation. If water is more, then the water will bleed, excessive water. So your concrete will be liquid, watery. So excessive water will leak from the joints of the formwork. So that is called bleeding. So this is the major factor which will affect the workability. So a good concrete is said to have a good workability. Right? This is the characteristic, very important characteristic of the fresh concrete. Okay? So how we can determine is by using slump test. There are 3 tests. First is slump test. Second is VB test. Third is compaction factor test. And fourth one is vibro compaction. Fourth one is vibro workability test. Okay, so these are the 4 tests using which we can find out the workability. So let us not go deep into the slump test, as we have to add the analysis part also in our videos. So you can go through this, then it is available in the literature how to continue this test. Okay, so this is the one property which all as a civil engineer must know. So coming to the hardened property of the concrete, property of the hardened concrete. Okay, so here also, as what workability was a very important property of fresh concrete, compressive strength of the concrete is a very important property of hardened concrete. Compressive strength or mechanical strength, you can tell compressive strength or mechanical strength, both stands the same. This is a very, very important property, right? The strength of a normal concrete varies between 25, normal concrete if you take, it will vary between 25 MPa. MPa stands for megapascal, and it can be represented as Newton per mm square also. So 25 MPa to 40 MPa. Okay, so for normal concrete, the compressive strength will be between 25 to 40. Okay, now when the compressive strength is more than 50 MPa, then those are called as high performance concrete. When the compressive strength is more than 50 MPa, we design the mix. Okay, if situation demands, if a particular site requires high performance concrete, okay, then that concrete compressive strength will be more than 50 MPa. Right? So concrete is generally represented or designated by its compressive strength. Concrete is known by its grade, which is designated like this: M15, M20. Right? Compressive strength by concrete is designated by its compressive strength. Okay, so this M40. Okay, so here M stands for mix. Okay, this 15, 20, 40, this stands for compressive strength. So M20 means that concrete mix has a compressive strength of 20 Newton per mm square. M40 means that particular mix has a compressive strength of 40 Newton per mm square. Right? So this is the normal concrete grades. Okay, and if you want higher grades of concrete, okay, we should use when the environment is very severe, extreme weather conditions are there, environment is very severe, then we go for extreme environment condition, we go for high grade concretes. If a particular structure is of very very importance, national importance, okay, like dams are there where huge amount is involved and it is of nation importance, so such constructions we go for high grade of concrete, maybe up to M100, M120, beyond that also. Okay, so there we go for high grade concretes. Okay, so another property is durability. Right? So one is compressive strength. This is the property of hardened concrete. First property is compressive strength. Then second one is durability. Durability is a long-term property, I can say. Okay? Durability. Durability, the word itself will give what it means. It's a long time. It's a long time property, right? Durability of concrete, it can be defined as the ability of concrete to resist weathering action, chemical attack and abrasion while maintaining its desired properties. Okay, it's a long term ability of concrete to resist weathering action, years. Okay, Nagarjuna Sagar Dam, long been back it has been constructed, right? So that is where the durability comes there. Okay, so when you construct a structure, it should be durable enough. It should be able to resist the weathering actions. It should be able to resist the chemical reactions, attacks, and it should be able to resist the abrasion. So this is the durability meaning. Okay, then the other properties comes porosity. Okay, let us not go deep in this because they are all small properties. Porosity and then comes density, porosity and density. That is concrete, if pores are there, it calls porosity. If it is dense, then it is density. Okay, let us not go much. Your concrete should be fire resistant. This is also one of the property that hardened concrete must possess. Okay, the hardened concrete properties: first is compressive strength, second is durability, third is porosity, fourth is fire resistance, and fifth one is impact resistant. Okay, if it's a bridges, then impact resistant concrete should be impact resistant. Okay, so like this are the other properties. Okay, also the concrete should be economical. That is the point also. Fine. So these are the properties. First property was property of fresh concrete, second property of hardened concrete, and third one is the concrete should be economical. You should not, because you want a durable concrete, you want a strong concrete with high maximum strength, you cannot put more cement, because cement is the one ingredient which is responsible for the strength. Right? Economy also matters. So the concrete should be economical as well. Okay, small terminologies is there. Let me complete that. So another property of concrete is creep. Creep. Okay, when a member is subjected to sustained loads. Okay, like a beam is there. Okay, right now it is new beam. It is subjected to loading. Beam, slab, any member you can take. So for prolonged time it is subjected to loading. Then some deformation will take place. This deformation is called as creep. Okay, it is a deformation, but under sustained load. The load is continuously coming on it. Then in the long run it is going to have some deformation. That deformation is called as creep. Okay, so another property is shrinkage. These are all hardened concrete properties. Shrinkage, right? When the property of decreasing of size, diminishing of volume, right? So with time there will be a shrinkage. There will be a reduction in the volume. The property of diminishing in volume, reducing in volume during the process of drying, hardening is termed as shrinkage. Okay? During the process of drying, there will be reduction in the volume. That property is called as shrinkage. Okay. Then modular ratio. Yes, this is very important for us. Modular ratio. Okay. There are two modular ratios: short-term modular ratios and long-term modular ratio. So what is short-term modular ratio? Short-term modular ratio, or simply we call it as modulus of elasticity also. Short-term modular ratio. Simply modular ratio also we call, instead of calling it as short-term modular ratio mostly. But let me clarify what is short-term modular ratio and what is the long-term modular ratio. Short-term modular ratio is the ratio of modulus of elasticity of steel to the modulus of elasticity of concrete. Because RCC is a composite material, right? The concrete has got steel also, right? So modulus of elasticity of steel to the modulus of elasticity of concrete is called as modular ratio. So modulus of elasticity is fixed. It is 2 into 10 to the power of 5 Newton per mm square. Any steel you take, this is the modular ratio. Then modulus of concrete is, it is given in IS 456. I'll give you the introduction of IS 456 when I start the analysis and design of beams. So this is all the introduction which we require before we actually go to the problem part, okay, analysis and design part. So this is given in IS 456. Again I will touch this one. This is 5000 root FCK, where FCK is the grade of concrete. So this is a varying, this is fixed. Modulus of elasticity of steel is fixed. It is always same 2 into 10 to the power of 5. Whereas modulus of elasticity of concrete is depending on the characteristic strength of concrete, compressive strength of concrete. So it's 5000 root FCK. Suppose it's a M30 grade concrete, then it becomes 5000 root 30, like this. Okay. So this ratio is called as short-term modular ratio. Okay. Then come to long-term modular ratio. Long-term modular ratio, right? So in IS 456, long-term modular ratio is given by 280 by 3 sigma CBC, or 3 sigma CBC. Okay, sigma CBC is same like FCK. This is limit state method. We use compressive strength or characteristic strength as FCK, and in working stress method we use as sigma CBC. Okay, this is permissible compressive strength in concrete. They are one and same, only notation is varying. So this long term, okay, instead of this, if you want to change this, you can write it as like this also. If you want to write it like this, it's same, okay? It is FCBC. Instead of saying CK, it's CBC, compressive strength in bending, because there are two compressive strength. One is compressive strength in bending and the other is compressive strength in compression, right? So this is long-term model ratio given by IS 456 as 280 by 3 sigma FCBC, right? So depending upon the grade of concrete, we can put the value of sigma CBC, okay? So in this modular ratio, the effect of creep and long-term deflection is taken into account, right? So another term is Poisson's ratio. So what is Poisson ratio? You can check this. Poisson's ratio for concrete is, the value of Poisson ratio for concrete is between 0.1 to 0.2 for weak concretes. 0.1 to 0.2 for weak concretes, and it is taken as 0.15 for strength design. When we design the mix, we can take Poisson ratio as 0.15, okay? Yes, this is all we have seen about the cement and concrete. Our subject is RCC. So some information about steel is also required, because what all we are discussing is about the materials, right? What is cement? We didn't discuss about sand and coarse aggregate, because it is a natural material available naturally, right? But here cement was the one which will be manufactured in the industries. What are the properties of cement and what are the properties of concrete we have seen. Now let us discuss some information about the steel also, right? So we call it steel, or we call it as steel reinforcement, okay? Let us see in what form they are available. Steel reinforcement, they are also called as rebars, okay, right? They are also called as rebars. Steel reinforcement is commonly known as rebars. Rebars. Then only we provide steel reinforcement. You can have a doubt why we are providing only steel. Why not something else in place of steel? Why not aluminium? Why not copper? Why not gold? Why only steel is used as a reinforcement? It is because the steel and concrete have a very good bond. They act, when they are combined or when they are mixed, they act as a unit. They act as a single unit. There is a good bond, single unit. There is a good bond between steel and concrete. This is one of the reasons why we use only steel. Besides this, there is a coefficient of thermal expansion of steel as well as concrete is almost same. Steel and concrete is almost same, so that is also a reason. They are not exactly same but nearing to each other. So because we are mixing the different material and forming a homogeneous compound, so coefficient of expansion should be compatible. So there is a compatibility of coefficient of expansion of steel and concrete. That is why we are using steel as the reinforcement, not any other material, okay? Now, types of steel reinforcement. This is an important for civil engineers. So what are the types of steel reinforcement available in the market, where and how we will be using them? So the first type of steel is hot rolled deformed steel bars. Hot rolled deformed steel bars. Okay, they are also called as HYSD bars. Okay, high yield strength deformed bars. Second is cold worked steel bars. Cold worked steel bars. They are also HYSD. I'll just come to it. Okay, cold worked steel bars. Third is mild steel bars. Plain bars, mild steel bars, they are plain, so they are called as mild steel plain bars. Last, fourth one is pre-stressing steel bars. So in short, we'll discuss what is this. There is no much difference between the hot rolled and cold worked steel bars. The only difference is the process of rolling in the factory. It is, these bars are rolled or driven when the metal is hot. Right? When the metal is hot, then it is rolled in the form of bars. Here, the working condition will be cold. That is the only difference between these two. These bars, hot rolled bars, are most commonly used in the RCC as a reinforcement for the RCC structure. These are the majorly used steel reinforcement for RCC structures, right? So, what on these bars there will be ribs. Okay, you might have come across, you might have seen in the surrounding areas where constructions are going on, the steel bars have ribs. Okay, I'll just try to show you by drawing a simple diagram. So if this is a bar, both the bars, type 1 and type 2, they have ribs like this. It will have ribs on this one. Okay, they have ribs, because of which there will be a good bond between the steel and concrete. This will give a grip to the concrete. Okay, it won't slip from the concrete, right? So these are the two important HYSD, and they are represented as for Fe. Fe stands for iron, Fe 415, Fe 500, Fe 550. So this is again represents its strength, characteristic strength, okay, tensile strength, right? So 415 Newton per mm square is the permissible strength of this bar. This is 500 Newton per mm square. So they are represented like concrete was represented by M. Here it is represented by Fe. Fe stands for iron, and this is the strength. This number indicates the strength of that bar. So for most of the RCC structure, we use the type 1 and type 2 of these three strengths depending upon the design results. Okay. Then mild steel plain bars. Mild steel plain bars are, they are plain with no ribs on its surface, with no ribs on its surface. These bars are used for small projects which are of not much importance, and also they are used as secondary reinforcement. We have two types of main reinforcement which we will learn in the design in the coming classes. So this mild steel is used only as a secondary reinforcement, and also in the project which are not that important. They are plain bars with no deformation on its surface. So its strength is represented like this, Fe 250. Mild steel strength is 250 Newton per mm square. The fourth type of steel is pre-stressing steel bars. This is completely another subject which we will be learning in the other videos. Okay, so these are the steels which we will be mostly using in the construction site. Okay, so our next topic will be the relationship of stress and strain. This is the most important characteristic of a reinforcing bar. Very, very important for civil engineers to understand. This I'll take up in my next video. So do watch my upcoming videos. We will be solving the problems of design of beams, columns successively one after the other. Subscribe my channel and share it.